a proper retreat set up in order to do so, as well as what we were seeing a lot on their offense on Villa was practically a full court press. They're always trying to pressure that defense. We'll have to see if it's here, and Beaulo making sure that we're going to have a clean game, and I agree, sir. I think everything will be fine. You know, we're all going to sing, hold your hands and sing Kumbaya.
All right, well, let's see how exactly these two teams are going to go for their bans. No surprise for Invictus, as we have seen Flores bans, I believe, in the previous matchup between these two teams, so that's just a repeat right there. TSM brings a lot of Flores to the table, and Flores is incredibly useful on these tighter-knit maps, especially inside of the hallways.
He didn't cap. Yeah. No lies.
Just to finish the point on Flores real quick, really good at dealing with some of that more hard-set utilities, so he's very useful, and we've started to see him get banned out quite often. The Zofia ban, let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, obviously one of the favorite soft breachers for everybody at home. Also, the thing with Flores with his deployable shields and how important that is to Oregon. Obviously, Zofia is also going to be kind of a part of this, that ranged hard breach. And on top of that, Invictus does not use Ashe at all, folks. Let me get the statistic for you very, very quickly here, but I believe they only use her like 15%, 14% of the time when available. Now, Zofia, 100% of the time. So trying to put him in kind of an odd straight here, and that honestly could help. Clash also coming in. We all know how effective Clash can be, especially with Invictus here. They're quite good at using it. But for Invictus's bans, this is extremely straightforward. This is going to be the 19th time that they've banned Wamai.
Yeah, Wamai getting knocked out there. They choose to bring in Jaeger instead, so we're going to leave him in the pool. Wamai will be knocked out, though, as they still want to remove some of that utility mitigation, which has become so common with the additions of not only Wamai, but Aruni, as we see that picked up by Lunarmetal, or maybe he doesn't, as it's actually going to get 6 picked away over towards Amira instead. So just bringing Jaeger in order to manage that part of the defensive utility.
Attackers need to locate and
this should be a good time here as Lunarmetal is going to begin to break up the basement. So we're getting an overview of what will be going on. Make sure you also go to check out the skins in the game. Make sure you go to the in-game shop right now, pick up some R6 credits, and look into any of our esports skins. You guys just saw the TSM Mozzie, which is honestly fantastic as one of the coolest gun skins in the game right now for the Commando because it's actually engraved. Yes, they let TSM use the 3D modeling software that's now inside of Siege in order to engrave the gun, so it looks pretty damn cool.
Indeed. Invictus, though, let's take a look and see what exactly they're trying to set themselves up for. So far, nothing too crazy from what I've been able to detect, especially with the mirror being brought into the fold. We can expect the usual resistance there from Lunarmetal that's going to counter out pushes working their way into the inside of Laundry. The second one is a little bit more up to IG's choice, however, as they can deploy it either on either of the half walls on the left or the right side of the screen right now, going over towards the freezer to counter that angle out, or of course going into the construction angle. Lunarmetal is still going to keep that in his pocket for now, I do believe, so we'll see where that gets deployed in just a little bit.
Fairly straightforward setup here for Invictus. It is indeed going to be the turtle as we're starting to see more of what's going on across the map. SpeakEasy trying to get ahead of TSM on the big tower side, but Beaulo's already slipped in on the back end to be working the shower. Has one on his freezer stairs as well, so more than likely going to need some assistance and the likes of drones around him to give him some supporting information. TSM going to be starting things off, at least with Beaulo in this position. As for the rest of his squad, currently on drones, trying to figure out what's going on around this map. But as we were talking about prior, there's really nothing going on the top side. Everyone's simply waiting for TSM's next move downstairs.
Yeah, so Invictus playing this back very, very cautiously, trying to get a good idea as to what Invictus is going to bring, or excuse me, what TSM is going to bring to the table before Invictus themselves tries to strike. Keep in mind as well that since they're playing into the basement, this is an incredibly bunker-heavy sort of site to play into. You do not need to play very aggressively to be able to maintain yourself and continue to hold towards the end of the round there. The setup in the site itself usually does most of the heavy lifting for you, assuming you play it in the standard way, which Invictus has certainly done here. We can see that resistance coming in now as they're going to be blocking off access to some of the hatch work here. Jordan trying to see if he can trick this a little bit, as multiple EMP grenades are going to go out, and that should deal enough resistance to be able to get the hatch open, although Jordan still trying to get into the way of that as he's got that final electro claw, which he can throw out somewhere else.
Okay, well, we'll get an update on what Pojo's EMP account is currently at. It's at 0, actually.
Yeah, he had to use it all for that.
Yeah, he ended up using those 2 at that tail end there of that Electro Claw engagement. So loses all of those. That means that the wall will end up being secured here for HysteRiX's spot, so he'll be allowed to exist for a little while longer. SpeakEasy is going to rotate back inside and let HysteRiX do his thing, as he'll focus on construction, be able to get a drone. Jordan will down 1 outside. That's Chala. HysteRiX pushes forward.
Oh my goodness.
Can he get 3? Oh my! HysteRiX out of nowhere, thin air. Can he get the squad as well. He can. Oh my goodness gracious. Just running a clinic over TSM. They cannot find a single hole to get into this building. A terrible stack and a blunder inside of construction.
HysteRiX obviously has done the job all on his lonesome here. That's going to be the highlight of the round. That's what we have to talk about in the post round here. Beaulo still going to make a valiant attempt at a 1v5, but with 30 seconds left, no case control and only one frag grenade for utility. Things are looking rough. He does have a drone to try and gather intel, but there's not really any real situation where he can try to use that right now. HysteRiX sitting back, trying to capitalize on this ace, making sure he does not mess that up. And oh no, we're going to get Looney. Oh, Beaulo actually gets both of them. HysteRiX as well as Lunarmetal trying to support with the deployable shield. That does not work out. The round still very much going to go under the control of Invictus, but at least we get some fun at the end of it there for Beaulo.
Invictus just find their moment. That's really what it was.
HysteRiX finds his moment.
Exactly, and that's really all they needed, and that's the strength of this team is at any moment in time, there's a multitude of these players that can pop off. We saw it on Villa from Joe as well as Lunarmetal, and now we're getting to hear from HysteRiX with that beautiful triple, and you can see it on their face. Those shots were so pretty. Either way, though, moving forward past that, TSM, just that very awkward stack. I guess they just really didn't know what to do with the situation now that Chala had been down. They wanted to kind of spread themselves out and make themselves a little more secure in that area so they could possibly get Chala back up, but HysteRiX was just too clean there.
Still, certainly should have been expected. What did I talk about in the pregame there? We know Invictus is going to get aggressive at really awkward times for TSM. They have great reads on when their opponents are getting ready to execute, and we already saw in the Villa matchup yesterday how they're able to get in the way of that. Immediately, HysteRiX shows us that once again in the very first round here, so problems are going to be caused for TSM, as now they can't even be sure of themselves when they're ready to move in for an execute, as they saw them get jumbled up there on the construction push.
All right, well, Invictus's opening kill stat in comparison to win rate has gone up, obviously, so that's good, but we kind of expected that after the triple. I think this round is going to be a little more measured here from TSM. We'll have to see what they do. This is a very standard, straightforward site that everyone is used to playing and going through the standard motions of beginning to clear out big tower, get the wall for Attic, transfer over to Master, and start breaking things down. But that doesn't mean that TSM have to do this in a traditional way at all, because obviously Invictus aren't exactly playing this in a traditional way either.
Pretty big emphasis here for Invictus on holding the connector outside of Master Bathroom. We can see both two ADSs as well as a laser gate on the fallback there. So that's going to allow for Joe to play to the inside of it behind this deployable shield here. Obviously still going to be a bit vulnerable if we see areas like Arsenal get taken, which I think is the immediate shift now for TSM now that they've seen that deployable shield. In fact, maybe going a little bit further than that all the way around towards Tower as we think about Beaulo, and Geo heading in that direction.
You really want to try and get some tower pressure here and lock them out of this side of the map, because being able to start to push some pressure onto Attic is going to make it to where the rest of the defenders are more grouped around the main rooms, and that's really what you're looking for on that execute. You don't want to allow room for the defense to breathe. So that's the plan right now for TSM, but there's still a long road ahead of them, especially with the roam game that Invictus have going on right now. The one thing that they oversighted, though, is the simple fact that not only does Chala got a torch, but also the EMP is available in Thatcher for the Mute Jammers.
So both these teams are going to start working away at each other's utility here. Joe still maintaining the presence on the outside of the bedroom connector there, but at the same time, Chala making quick work to open things up here. They do have windows open, ready to try and hop in to put that additional pressure from the side hall onto Joe as well. Jordan, though, still left alive downstairs in meeting room. Could easily rotate around and become a massive flank against this Attic push, which is still going to be a big part of the play, it looks like, from TSM for at least one or two of their players. Chala, though, not pushing into it just yet, still just committing himself to Overwatch as Beaulo and the rest of the squad are doing the heavy lifting deeper in the site itself.
Well, TSM at a standstill right now. Don't want to jump ahead too far, although they are standing at the gates of the site. Obviously, we saw Joe previously down low. Actually, that's going to be the mutant Jordan, excuse me, but he is still going to be watching that Attic rotation, waiting on Chala to try and pressure in. Pretty unique spot here for Geometrics as he'll prone inside of the master closet as the breach goes off. So this is a pretty cheeky area for him to more than likely get a pick. Chala just simply trying to man Attic here as Lunarmetal will be on the other end. These two will be dueling back and forth with Jordan waiting for him to try and go in through this rotate hole. Chala now on the move here as Lunarmetal still trying to hold things down. Beaulo will lose his life. Joe Geo also going to lose his life as well. Actually, as a Nitro cell finally comes through from HysteRiX. Achieve follows through as well onto Lunar. So trades coming back and forth here, but no real harsh movement into the site just yet. TSM really lost for words in this moment. Chala set up to try and hop inside of Attic while Poj is poised inside a trophy. Jump forward. They'll be able to get 2 big picks now, and now Invictus on the back foot. HysteRiX standing at top white. He'll be able to get some damage off onto Poj. He's now down to 1 HP. Jordan's also missing his in action as well as he's downstairs.
Jordan having to rotate away from that. Remember, he was trying to line up the flank against the Attic push from earlier, but was never able to find an opportunity to execute upon it. With the loss of HysteRiX, Jordan's not going to be able to get very far with the clutch either, as he's taken down from an above angle just over the big window there as TSM was approaching their post-plant scenario. Just a little bit too static on the on-site defenses there for Invictus. TSM set up to execute for a good minute and a half out of the round there, so plenty of time for them to investigate the site setup from drones, set up a coordinated execute, and obviously make it work for themselves.
Really, I think that round is chalked up to what happened inside of Attic and the way that Chala played that, because if you saw Invictus were very focused on his positioning and what he was doing in that area. You didn't only have the Jaeger, but you also had the Mute down low that were both prioritizing him and what was going on, whilst TSM are also breaching Master and starting to create new lines of sight. Obviously, Beaulo falls early on, but the refrags come in very quickly and harsh. That's the biggest thing. Chala finds his moment as well to hop inside of Attic, and for all of the trials that Invictus went through inside of that round, it just did not come to fruition.
So Invictus going to try it again, though, because they believe they came close enough that a reattempt is a valid try for them, and I would certainly agree with that. Like I said, just a few minor adjustments, not as much of an emphasis as you were mentioning there on the Attic push, which ultimately just ended up being Chala, for the most part, holding an angle for the large majority of the round, as well as trying to light up the flank against him too, which put Jordan at a position inside of that 1v2 clutch. Patching those things up, which they already seem to be well aware of those issues, will probably increase their odds tremendously of actually closing out the round this time.
Yeah, I also love the conversation that Invictus was having there, because you could clearly see the idea of what was going on with that and Chala. Right when he starts to torch the wall, Lunarmetal feeds him the information. He immediately pops a line of sight right through the floor, so he's able to see that rotation hole and prevent anyone from walking in there. It's a great idea, but simply just does not work out. But now we are into round 3. It's 1-1 right now in between these two. Invictus, once again, back upstairs trialing this to see if they can get this to go. TSM the last time around, though, cool, calm, and collected, did not get that early death that we saw the last time around in pretty convincing fashion. So we'll see if Invictus wants to bounce back with some aggression, and it looks like they do, as HysteRiX is poised in small tower.
HysteRiX obviously already having a lot of confidence just from his own obviously exploration that he was able to do, and as well as his massive play back in the first round there. So no reason why he shouldn't be trying to get even more aggressive now with the way that this team has already been able to leverage themselves against TSM back on the first round, and even in the previous matchup here too. Setup going to be relatively similar though, so TSM know the checklist to run down, and they're going to very quickly start on that with an immediate nade that gets chucked on top of the supporting deployable shield for Joe out in connector.
And here we go once again, folks. TSM set up in big tower, start torching down the wall, get the rotation made so that Chala can move in later if he has to through that area. But kind of a change up in the idea of utility here for TSM. Pojo no longer rocking the Thatcher, instead bringing IQ. It's a big change up here. Obviously, the EMPs are extremely effective at getting these walls open, but really with Maverick on the field and them using him, it makes no sense to bring Thatcher in the first place anyways. So bring something that's got a little bit of a better gun, as well as you can read out all of that utility inside of sight for your teammates.
So we've got Beaulo, as well as the rest of TSM, starting to establish those execute positions, those very same ones that they were able to hold for a large majority of the previous round. You'll note this time, though, they're not getting access to them as quickly as they did back in round number 2 here. There's a slight extension on the timer that TSM's needed to be able to open up all these avenues, but nonetheless, they have been able to get it, and they're keeping overwatch on all these flank attempts from Invictus. Pojoman and Achieve both striking, barely taking any damage in the process, and Invictus's response so far nowhere to be seen because they can't get very aggressive. Now, there is still utility to be used on the defense, most notably the Toxic Babes, which are now coming out there for SpeakEasy. 2 have already been used, so only 1 remaining after that one that's sitting on the connector door goes away. That might buy enough time, however, to build up the laser gate, and Chala thinks he has the read on his opponent. Instead, it's going to have to come from Lunarmetal, who picks up the kill. SpeakEasy helping out from the backside now, too, trying to deny the plant. Pojoman shuts down his only other teammate, trying to work the M590, but he can't make these shots connect. Finally gets it done, kills the planter, but now the plant is down on the ground. He's wasted that opportunity, but he still has the chance for the clutch if he can take down Achieved. He's going to go for the big wrap too, going all the way around, nearly gets it, but no, Achieved will clutch it out instead, and TSM takes the round.
Now that was a read by Matthew Achieved right there. Fantastic from him. I'm pretty sure he just saw the tailcoats of that player as well and knew exactly what the move was, so fantastic stuff for him to secure that round there for TSM. But great opening there for TSM. Invictus, though, again, they're able to fight back, but the attic area continues to be this battleground for Chala up against Lunarmetal, and Lunar able to finally win it out in that regard. So lucky for him, but not lucky for Invictus at the end of the day. Love what TSM are doing right now, and oh my, it's going to be a 6-pick to something I did not think I would see Pojo playing today.
Are we watching TSM or Dark Zero?
Not Dark Zero, but like mint plain Dark Zero. like we're talking about a year and a half ago at this point, you know what I mean?
So we'll see how well this operator pick ends up working out for TSM. We are going to go back to the basement attack, and that's where we saw Invictus have that massive play. HysteRiX, of course, having that massive run out. The triple kill against the TSM stack that was trying to work its way in from construction at the top right of your screen. So TSM going to try to make up the difference now. Probably still going to see a large emphasis on a very similar type of push, but they're hoping bringing this operator, they can maybe make up the difference.
It's all about that opening pick once again for Invictus. They were able to secure that the last time with that triple like you were talking about. But the thing is that these last 2 rounds, TSM have found their stride. They feel as though they know how to play up against Invictus, and that's more than likely why we see Pojo here. This could honestly be a rush play to try and overwhelm this defense. HysteRiX waiting right now. You can see the hologram out. A quick flash here as HysteRiX is going to get lit up, but I believe some utility starting to pour in as well, and yes, he'll start using the Toxic Babes to lock TSM out for now.
Pojoman taking a lot of heat from that fight, even though he does successfully force HysteRiX back by another room. HysteRiX, though, still putting the aggressive pressure on the doorway, and this is unfortunate that Pojoman nearly gets himself finished off from that engagement. They cannot really try the same thing again. It's far too easy, and he can just take him down from a stray bolt that hits his leg or something similar. So they're going to hold him back, play things a little bit more passively for a moment, and try to explore their options. And the problem is, you can see that Invictus is well aware of that. HysteRiX is already starting to explore an option to push right back into that position that the whole push was meant to push him out of.
Well, troublesome waters now for TSM. Oh, but Beaulo, does he have the frag? He does. HysteRiX tries to slip through his hands, but Beaulo just better in the moment. Fantastic droning from him. Bags him a frag that TSM desperately needed. Obviously, Pojo's still very low, and Beaulo's going to join him in that regard. Both of their HP bars are practically matching to make it 25 in total for both of them. Either way, TSM going to jump ahead here, and Gio worrying me there for a split second as we're jumping around TSM members. I thought Pojo was going to lose his life to a hatch.
Well, not going to happen this time around here. Just needing to deal with that bit of utility, and it seems like they've come close to doing so already. Could still be seeing Jordan trick it out a little bit, though, but at the moment, yeah, we're going to have Chala get on that with the Maverick, and that will negate any of the mitigation that would have been coming in from the Cade on the other side. Anyway, Joe still patiently waiting on the inside angle over here, taking up the position of what HysteRiX was playing into before. Chala obviously still having to take a little bit of heat here just to finish off that hatch and make sure it gets fully open, but it's not that big of a deal. Only about 5 or 6 HP going to get removed from his overall health there.
I hate myself. I'm literally watching Chala torch this hatch. I'm like, man, why are you ADS? You don't have to do that. It moves slower, Chala. Like, gosh. But no, he's still going to be able to get the hatch open, so it really doesn't matter at the end of the day, and that's exactly what they need to do in order to start applying some pressure over E-Box. Now Invictus has something to say about it, and so does Beaulo, so pop Pojo right in the back of the head. Tries to push this even further as he's attempting to get rid of the shield inside of elbow. Chala looking to drop down E-Box as well. Beaulo, the one with the case here, is starting to move forward, but again, remember, he has very, very low HP. Invictus walking in these last 30 seconds into a 4 versus 3, but it doesn't seem like they have much control over this area, although they are starting to look now like they have something going on in the pillar area. SpeakEasy going to get taken down as Achieved oversights the work of Chala.
That's a kill they can afford to give away now. Invictus was keeping a 4v3 advantage up until that point, and as well, it wastes that additional amount of time. At the same moment here, we're going to see that SpeakEasy is able to figure out a large majority of the presence that's sitting outside. Nitrocell goes through, but it is going to be shot on Achieve with a very important pick right there. But as we can see, Jordan sprays them all down, getting a double at the end, and shutting out another round for Invictus.
TSM literally lose to their own torch holes inside of the single panel for stock. That's so very unfortunate. I don't even know what else to say about that. That's just Invictus doing what they can with what they have at the end of the day. They have to make an attempt there. Both of the nitro cells get shot out. TSM did everything right, but the proper aggression at the proper time yet again here. And Invictus, 2 for 2 on their basement defenses.
I was worried as well there about Invictus maybe getting a little bit too aggressive at the end. We started to see the kills drift over towards TSM, but it's always one single player that seems to sneak past the defenses. TSM's executes always leaving it hole open for an opportunity for an Invictus player to sneak right through and shut down the attack, especially on these basement plays right there. Invictus certainly excelling in it, but they've been unable to control a kid's defense just as of yet here. So now we're going to go and see them make a third attempt at this, possibly to give TSM a third round and allow them to respond very quickly if things do not change from the previous attempts.
Now, here's the biggest thing about this, is that TSM, it's just been very straightforward siege when it comes to this side. Nothing fancy, nothing new. It's exactly what we expect out of any team when it comes to this site. Haven't went for a big window execute or anything of the sort. So Invictus have got to change something up, and while we're starting to see some new things, it might be the change up that they're looking for. SpeakEasy is going to put a deployable shield inside of Armory, so that'll slow TSM down in that regard, especially if they're trying to prioritize just matching angles into Master. That's going to prevent Geo from doing his job most importantly, as TSM have been able to get tower time and time again very early on, and Invictus have not been able to do anything about it. Obviously, the mute jammer's really not having an effect over that situation, given that Chala does have the torch, so it's more or less Invictus looking for the pick on that side that they just really have never been able to achieve.
All right, well, let's see here if Invictus can finally get themselves an opening advantage against TSM to try and leverage some earlier control and slow down this attack. HysteRiX certainly in the position to try and find it. As you guys could see, there are multiple silhouettes of TSM members running right past him, but not able to leverage any damage onto them until just now. Beaulo going to be the first to take a bit of that heat as he goes down to 50. No full kill yet, though, as Invictus did not want to stick around for too long on that very precarious staircase. Is an incredibly aggressive angle. Could have led to a trade very quickly had the player stuck around for too long, so he will fall back and take a more passive position.
Yeah, poor Beaulo is just seemingly magnetic to all of this lead today. He's just been eating it over these last 2 rounds. He's right down around 50 HP once again. But the good news is he'll be able to stay alive and continue to use Gianna's Gemini. Clear some things up, most importantly, getting rid of some of these laser gates. And that's exactly what he's going to start off with here. But as we've seen prior, Invictus loves to stack trophy up with quite a bit of utility. TSM, though, now starting to figure out exactly what's going down inside of this armory area. But it's more or less a farce. There's no one here. It's just simply an empty deployable shield and, well, ghost setup that TSM will simply be able to waltz through.
Going to reach a very tense point in the round here. Neither team able to explore too much or find too much when it comes to actually isolating out their opponents. We can see, of course, the TSM still very much focused on trying to open up the necessary holes they need in order to get into the site as well. Chala, we doing the heavy lifting on that over towards Attic once again, as he's already done in the previous 2 attempts here for Invictus. Beaulo already with access once again in through the connecting room himself out onto the site there. The Aruni gate has been dealt with. Possibility for him to swing through right now, but again, is the rest of the team truly ready for it? They were waiting for that type of an opportunity, and they get it. Jordin tries to commit to a harder swing to see what exactly is going on the game's opening, pays the price. He goes down. TSM take the advantage yet again, and they still have over a minute to commit to the execute.
They have just been able to read Invictus when it comes to this top floor. Every single time they are so very patient, and somebody on Invictus oversteps and ends up losing their life, and it's going to happen here yet again with Jordin. More smoke starting to go down inside of Trophy, but finally someone will lose their life for TSM as Invictus finds their opening. Beaulo's starting to take more damage, and Chala's also going to go down, but that means Beaulo has to hop too as well. He'll get inside of Attic and be able to get that kill, but now it's all really up, down, or actually it's all down to these last remaining members of TSM. Invictus getting lit up across the board, but these kills just coming in very odd circumstances. A lot of rotation. SpeakEasy seems to be the only member of Invictus on site as HysteRiX comes back through Attic. So that is indeed going to be the rotation dead down low, as SpeakEasy is now the only member. Oh my! What happens with this SMG-11 spray? The bullets go through Achieve right into Beaulo as they both get taken down. Geo, now the only remaining member up against SpeakEasy, but the good news is no toxic smoke, but a swing from SpeakEasy and a dead Geometrics means a successful top floor defense.
The aim alone from some of these Invictus players that I've been seeing over just
They're
this game,
nasty.
as well as reviewing the VOD from the TSM game yesterday, has been some insane stuff. Their ability to just steal headshots out of an absolutely left field type of a situation has been second to none compared to most of their teams in this tournament from from what I've seen.
Yeah, dude, to be completely honest with you, the entire way that broke down for TSM getting those frags just sent me through a whirlwind there for a second, especially with Invictus and what they had going down on that, mid-floor there. We had the rotation starting to come up. I'm like, okay, we're going to get the flank here, and just everyone starts dying, but then SpeakEasy inside of the 1 versus 3. Once again, Invictus able to win it out simply off of frag power alone.
So the hard-headed approach here for Invictus. I was starting to get worried, guys, do we really need to try this tonight 3 different times? Is that really the way we want to try and play this half? Maybe a 4th as well, had that round not gone too well for them? Well, clearly the answer was yes for Invictus, as they wanted to try and get a win there at some point, and they will get it, ending the half record there at a 1-2. Now finally forcing them onto one of the first floor sites, which usually is the last resort option for most of our teams, and certainly is going to be the case here for Invictus, as they'll be doing the meeting and kitchen hold instead of the cafeteria kitchen hold.
Okay, well, let's see how this goes for Invictus, as this will be our last round of our half. So if Invictus are able to go up 4-2, or if TSM have something to say about it, where we end up at 3-3. No real change-ups here, all except for Poj, who will continue to change out his operators, this time going back to Thatcher instead of bringing the Blitz. And, well, first things first, thank you for that, Poj. I did not want to see that again. That was definitely not the play. I'd much rather you have a gun in your hand, because it seems like he's been a lot more successful when he's had that advantage. So once again, they will be bringing that, and that's going to be pretty easy to support the rest of his team, especially with a site like this. They're going to be starting things off by taking the master side here, trying to work for trophies. Invictus have a very similar setup to what they do upstairs around this trophy area, just trying to keep TSM out of the building.
So far succeeding in doing so. Lunar, as well as HysteRiX and some of the other members of Invictus, have been constantly pressing on these direct angles that TSM need just to get into the building. Also a strategy we've been seeing used by a lot of the other Apex teams. This type of aggression has been panning out very, very well so far at this tournament for obviously Invictus, as well as other squads from the region, such as Cyclops here, as they continue to play into that. And the other teams for the other regions continue to struggle at trying to make any sort of forward momentum in this first minute or two of the rounds.
The good news is that TSM are practically used to this at this point, as we've been talking about. They're very patient up against Invictus because Invictus want these fights, and when TSM is able to achieve that, they usually end up getting that first blood, which is a huge boon for them, especially in comparison to Invictus. Whenever they get those opening kills, once again, their win rate is insane. As we saw, 82% once again, for those of you that are curious, but this round still moving quite lethargically at the moment here. TSM trying to figure out what they want to do, as they started to get more of this top control, but we need to see Achieve start applying this sledgehammer to the floor.
Beaulo patiently waiting for the right timing to try and swing around this as the drone moves in to support his play. He is going to find out that's relatively open, but there's another part of the map you have to be very, very cautious of before you call all clear on the second floor. And that's not even the one I was just about to talk about. Lunarmetal jumping in, stealing a little over 25 HP from Beaulo. A little underwhelming considering the play potential right there. Geo as well trying to catch this player. We do have trades going on in another part of the map there as Geo gets caught. A little bit too tunnel vision on the main stairs, so SpeakEasy going to be able to trade him out, and Invictus will maintain the player advantage after the dust settles.
So TSM traded out for kids' dorms up here. Beaulo ended up getting taken down, and then Achieve comes in for the refrag. They're also going to get another kill now. SpeakEasy will falter, so it's a 3 versus 3 entering the last 40 seconds here. TSM with top control now will be able to abuse that, at least for the kitchen site, and that's why Chala's lined up currently inside of cafeteria. But we also have Lunar coming down Armory stairs currently, and he could honestly play spoils to a couple of these situations that TSM have set up for themselves. Chala now over here inside of the cafeteria area. Frag grenades out, but he still has to worry about these rotations coming through, and that's why he has Poj here as well. Lunarmetal wants to hop in through security, but he can simply shoot him through the wall. Oh no! He goes right in between the two, but Jordan's there to assist, as it will only be Achieved to be able to fight back. But here's the issue. He has the high ground, Anakin. That means he's more than likely going to win this. Very scary right now. Achieved, can he get it done? He'll be able to at least confirm 1 kill and truly knock it down into the 1 versus 1.
Jordan starts the tag here. Achieved very easily, can swing the hammer though and start to put the damage down on Jordan. Not enough to get him on the first attempt, but Jordan needs to bring Achieved out into the open once again. He does not have time to make the run all the way upstairs to kill him and then drop down and defuse. He's jumped on it again, trying to bait Achieved out, but Achieved reads it. He knows it's a fake. This one's starting to get real though, as we pass the time is necessary here. Even with him jumping onto it, even if he's stuck it wouldn't have mattered, as this round's going to TSM.
So TSM trade out masterfully inside of this round. They knew exactly what they needed, and instead of keeping the I'll say it this way, instead of keeping the pawns up, what they do is they trade out for map control, which is a great idea upstairs. Obviously, you'd want Beaulo to stay alive. He was very, very close to winning that engagement, but just didn't go their way. That's why Achieved was there in the first place, and he's having a stellar match right now, 10-3-1.
There's a one piece of advice for TSM. Please stop body stacking, because there's been like 3 crazy plays made from Invictus now, because TSM players have been just a teeny bit too close to each other.
Yeah, it's happening quite often here, and like, oh my, Achieved. Okay, sir, do you need, like, I don't know, biofreeze, pain medication, a new spine?
A backpack?
No, dude, at this point, it's a duffel bag. Like, it's not even a backpack. Wow, that is absolutely ludicrous.
All right, well, let's see if he can keep it going. We talked again in the last match as well about how there was a great performance for Achieved in the first half there, but it did taper off a little bit as we got further in. This looks to be a little different, though, as Achieved is nearly dominating the matchup with his scoreline compared to nearly every other player in the lobby. The only one that's keeping up with him is SpeakEasy over on IG.
We finally get to talk about this as well. Look at this lineup right now for TSM, and remember what Pojo was doing on offense. These are things that Merc don't do. Merc does not play this role. Do you want to know who plays that role that he's playing right now for Tachanka?
Who's that?
Beaulo plays that. Beaulo plays that. Achieved, playing Jaeger, 11-3-1. I think they found a viable formula.
Seems like they may have finally changed things up. This is really the kind of story arc of day 2, is the redemption for some of the favorites that weren't really able to perform well inside of the first day here, and we're now possibly facing elimination if they weren't able to rebound. G2, a great example of that, who's done much better here today. Now TSM looking to try and be one of those same teams as they'll look for their first win here against IG.
Yeah, I also want to say that I'm pretty sure that if I remember this correctly, Achieved also plays what Beaulo is playing inside of this setup. I'm pretty sure the only person that's playing something routine is Chala here. Geo might also be, but I just don't want to say that because I don't know that for sure. But either way, TSM obviously going to be on this basement defense. You guys have more than likely heard me talk about this setup quite often. If you've heard me talk about Tachanka on stream at all for the NAL, it's this exact setup that we have been talking about, because Pojoman is going to be working Freezer with the fire grenades and a piece of barbed wire for sound cue for when they walk through that, and Smoke is going to be prioritizing Elbow with Geometrics working the door for construction.
Whole lot of nothing in terms of combat between these two teams for the first minute of the round. That is to be often expected in a game like this. Invictus still going to try to speed things up a little bit now. HysteRiX accidentally takes out SpeakEasy's drone there. I think it was nearing the end of its timer anyway, so probably wasn't going to be alive for too much longer. And I'm pretty sure it had explored most of its options. So that's full freezer control, assuming that Invictus stuck down there now under their control here. And they're going to be able to continue to leverage that. They do want to actually open up the hatch before they recommit themselves to it, though, just because that creates a little bit of a harsh angle for them, especially because TSM, I believe, has the softball to fire back from the inside of Laundry if they need to here. Rest of Invictus, though, still working on opening up the necessary hatches to traverse their way down, probably in the next 30 to 45 seconds.
Yeah, it's going to take a little while here, but the real question is, where's the first bout of aggression from Invictus? We know that they love to get down with it, but the thing is does a prevention work out here for TSM? It's going to be Beaulo on the forward position, but remember, he has a supporting angle all the way from Laundry with that deployable shield there, as Pojo will be holding it down from range with those fire grenades. Not going to have that barb here that we talked about prior, but SpeakEasy will lose his Gemini here, but get some information on Beaulo playing Freezer Hallway.
Only Beaulo playing into that position, though, is given away. Achieve still coming in to add additional support. Those extra ADSs going onto the ground certainly going to allow Beaulo to keep a hard hold on this angle for a little bit longer in the event there's a spam of either flash or frag grenades. You can also see the slow drip feed of Pojoman's incendiaries that's starting to come from that direction. They believe this is going to be the main avenue of attack for Invictus, and so far, they're correct in that assumption. IG wants to try and buffer their own defenses here. Now they're going to try and set up an air jab that might actually impact onto the player in the hallway if he sticks around for long enough. But here we go. Now HysteRiX trying to force his way through the mollies. It's not going to work out. Jordan, so far, the only one that's able to pick one up for Invictus here. Otherwise, TSM is holding the line, and they're going to continue to do so. But SpeakEasy changing things up as he gets 2 suddenly to work his way back in over through Freezer. SpeakEasy looking for more, and he's going to get it. A triple, now a quad, as he shuts it all down, and Invictus take the first round of the second half.
I simply cannot with this team. You're telling me that at any moment in time, somebody just has to flick a switch and 4 people die. That is ridiculous. TSM simply gobsmacked at the situation. They try to fight him every step of the way, but SpeakEasy being the one to turn up for Invictus in this situation as he wins out every engagement time and time again. It just seems like the stars align for Invictus whenever they're in trouble.
So Invictus continuing to give us these absolutely incredible and absolutely incredulous individual plays out of their entire roster, it seems here, that's pushing them over the edge time and time again to keep the lead versus TSM. 3 more rounds for Invictus, and they take control of their second matchup versus TSM and likely eliminate TSM from playoff contention here at the Major.
I was going to say, you got to remember about that. TSM are in hot water right now, and this map means quite a bit, and that's more than likely why we saw the change-ups in the roles, because if you guys read up on anything that was happening with TSM, they were talking about how they didn't really want to make any adjustments because of the way that TSM had been playing recently. They've been playing so damn well with Merc as the entry, and it was just such a beautiful thing to watch, but obviously with Poj having to come in for him, they just tried to keep him to those roles, but it just was not working out.
TSM going to make yet another run at that, as once more they've made the call that, okay, this is one player getting away with a massive individual play. We know they can't necessarily rely on that sort of thing. Let's rerun that, guys. Let's not make that mistake once again. The problem is, to a certain extent, Invictus can rely on it, as we've seen it a good 4 or 5 times now throughout the course of this matchup. Only one round did it absolutely not lead to a round 1 for themselves. Things will start out well here for TSM. That was Beaulo is suddenly going to get aggressive here in the first floor hallway right by the front door and knock out Lunar.
Dude.
That also is going to knock out the Nomad and the air jabs that would come with her, which was a big piece of Invictus's capability to take map control.
I wish we would have got to see that shot, because that was probably very nasty. Right into the front door, onto White Van, but that doesn't mean Invictus are going to be slowing down anytime soon. You can see SpeakEasy already making his way across the map as he was coming down White stairs, but everything has fallen silent across Oregon as Invictus are trying to figure out how they want to work their way into the building. SpeakEasy starting to drone things out. Beaulo's already worked his way downstairs as they've already gotten their pick, so they're not too worried about it, but this is looking very similar to what we saw the last time. But as you guys heard John talking about, is it going to be reliant upon this massive frag game of somebody just popping off, or are they actually going to get a case down here? That's the big question right now. The last time they were able to get quite a bit of pressure when it came down to it, still getting the hatches open and things like that, but it was the laundry freezer push that simply did not work out until SpeakEasy had a hand in it.
So for Invictus, looking to try and take control now down a player, can no longer really try to trade their way towards a win as they had been doing in previous rounds here. TSM holds that massive advantage right now and is the reason, like Stokes was just mentioning, why we see Beaulo immediately pulling back after that kill and the rest of the team sitting nice and comfortably in the basement too. Lots of trap utility that Invictus is going to have to get past once they venture into the basement. Alone from the Mira setup, you're also going to have the Schmott mine set up by Geo, the laser gates to work past, as well as those 3 toxic babes, none of which have even been used by Chala yet. That'll probably start to change over the next few moments, because once you reach around 45 seconds, if you're applying the ball to the same position, you can bleed down the rest of the time just off of those.
Yes, you can. There are 30 seconds of stop, but if you're able to time them properly, it's right about 45 seconds. It's been a known fact for quite some time here. IG more than likely aware of that as well. Frag grenades out, so we're getting prepared to push forward, and oh no, Geo's hat is seen as Ella tries to creep up, but the headset is a little too tall on top of her head, and he'll lose out because of that. But now TSM hopping too, but it's mostly Chala as he'll take down multiple here, but HysteRiX starting to fight back. Chala lights him up on the entry though. It's actually SpeakEasy that's worked his way in here. Can't pick the case back up, as you do indeed have to hold the button nowadays instead of running over it, so has to reach out there and grab it with his hands very quickly, but the timer dwindling down. Can IG get it done yet again with this frag power?
It's the false start ultimately for Invictus here. The second they try to go for their execute, they're torn apart by the more aggressively positioned TSM members. Still trying to battle it back as SpeakEasy saves his own life, brings it down to a 1v1 by taking out Beaulo. 8 seconds left to try to go for a plant. Here's the first attempt at it. That'll pull Chala out from hiding. SpeakEasy realizes it and nearly cuts off Chala's head. Now he's run the null timer though. SpeakEasy knows he needs to get the frag and he tries to go for it, but it doesn't work out. Time expires. TSM takes the round.
I love their aggression. I'll say that. SpeakEasy obviously reading the situation and going, hey, there is literally 0 chance I get this on the ground. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fake this and try to get Chala to come get me, and hopefully I kill him on the rotation. Unluckily enough, not able to do so. But again, the thing here for IG is the fact that they got it down to a 1 versus 1. Every single round, they are somehow able to achieve this, all except for the round that TSM got a flawless offense. But besides that, Invictus have had a hand in knocking this down into very low man count situations that are always seemingly winnable for them.
So Invictus continuing to crawl back here, but TSM as well holding on in their own regard as they tie things up on that previous round, picking up their first defensive win on the second round of the half there, and now trying to push it forward upstairs into the usual expected secondary site. for TSM here. Still going to bring a lot of chains up to the utility as a result of this site switch. It's a very differently played site, so you need to bring a lot of very differently themed operators, including a Frost for Chala, which is probably his most well-known operator at this point as well. So I'm sure some people are getting excited now that Chala's been able to jump onto this finally.
All right, guys, everybody calm down, okay? They did take away the 1.5, so it's not as fun as it used to be. But the Frost mat's still a pretty good time when it comes down to it. And we'll tell you what we tell everybody. Frost is a unique operator because she gives you this very weird duality thing with windows. When you hop inside, you have two options. One, you kill the Frost mat, or two, you kill the guy guarding the Frost mat. Either way, you're probably going to die. So it's really not that fun at the end of the day. So you have to be very aware of what's going on with Frost. And for some of you guys that are newer to Rainbow Six Siege, you're trying to understand a little bit more about competitiveness, Frost has actually got the craziest bell curve of any operator when it comes to ranked effectiveness. She's the most effective against silvers and diamonds, because that makes sense. So there you go.
The intricacies of balancing Siege. A much longer conversation than we have time to go into
Dude,
right now.
I would need to write, like, I don't even know. I'd have to write a master's thesis. That's what I'd have to do.
So for Invictus here, already starting to move into position to begin taking that first floor map control away from TSM here, while being very cautious of the potential aggression that might be swinging out here. We can see some of that as well. Just over by the white stairs window, I believe someone from TSM is positioned, but not going to be able to ultimately swing out and execute upon that. Not the only place, though, where we see a little bit of that for TSM. We can even see HysteRiX starting to investigate the basement. Now, I don't believe there's going to be anything down there, but Invictus just double-checking it more than likely just to make sure.
Yeah, they do not want to risk anything slipping through their fingers, but luckily enough for them, TSM are not in that area. They're mostly upstairs currently, all except for a singular TSM member that I believe is actually over inside of the cafeteria area. But Beaulo going to get a unique kill. Don't exactly know what happened with that nitro cell, but more than likely came through vertically. But he's going to die immediately after HysteRiX cleans him up.
Yeah, I think he had to actually run outside to get that one, because I know I saw a ping that someone...
Did he run out main door and toss it up on the master
balcony? I know he had a
balcony?
ping that someone was outside for like a split second there, so I'm pretty sure that's what he did. Ran out there, chucked it away, stole the kill, and unfortunately was caught before he could get back downstairs into the basement there, but at least goes 1 for 1 before his elimination, so is going to keep things even. The Goyo shields obviously being placed in the round means there's not going to be a huge loss, or really any loss of utility, considering his nitro cell had also been deployed at that point. Still, though, coming down to just over a minute remaining here for Invictus, and they do need to start making some forward momentum, which unfortunately have not been able to do just yet. TSM is sitting nice and comfortable in all their extended positions, including achieved all the way out towards the first floor small tower.
Well, thank you for that analysis there, PI John Mullen. Really appreciate that. Figuring out that nitro cell kill for us. But since that's happened, not too much has really gone on. IG is currently setting up for their execute. HysteRiX still worried about somebody inside of small tower. And he damn well should be as Valkyrie's here. But oh my god, Achieved spray goes so wide there, and he loses a gunfight to HysteRiX even though he had the drop on him. Very unfortunate for him, but I believe that he got surprised by him bursting into the door like Kool-Aid Man there for a second. But either way, though, that still means that Invictus have a great opportunity here to get this done. The real question is, where's this plant going to go down? SpeakEasy starting to repel here. It looks like they want to try and swing in through the dorm's window.
They are not really fully intel'd on what's going on in the back of the site, though, so we're going to start to see those trades roll out from TSM. Jordan, with the only position inside of the site towards Attic, though, is pushing huge dividends forward for IG right now. Beautiful stuff from him as he picks up the double kill at the end, and the third is finalized just seconds later to give IG the round. They're getting hyped up now, and they deserve it.
SpeakEasy yelled so loud that he spit on his monitor and he had to wipe it off.
Oh no, did he?
Oh my god. Oh, that just took me out. I'm so sorry, chat. My bad. Either way, though, Invictus are looking so strong right now. And again, it's all down to this frag power. Look at TSM. They're simply playing scared. They're trying to back off of these angles. They're just like, whoa, guys, you can't be doing this.
I honestly almost want to say it was a little bit of the opposite, where TSM, I think, were a little bit too confident in their extended positions there, like with what we saw from Achieve being way out over there inside of small tower up until a late point in the round while Invictus were taking attic control for themselves.
Well, he had to be because of the play for Invictus, right? They're going to be prioritizing the double window outside, so he goes to try and counter that.
They think at that point in the round that they're safe. They're going to be able to continue playing to those spots. Clearly, that was not the case, as Invictus is able to press down on that site with really the only power position that's used to make that happen is Jordan's inside of attic right there. Jordan is the hero of that round. If he doesn't get his 2 kills, TSM shuts that execute down outright.
Yeah, he lights the fuse, and that's why I'm slightly angry with TSM inside of that round, is because of that circumstance. They did not handle the attic player, and they had every opportunity to. Geo doesn't even push forward through the door. Instead, he's backing off the angle because he's like, oh, wait, I don't want to die. And instead, he does anyways because they continue to pressure forward like they've done the entire game.
So we are in a bit of a pause here. It's a tactical pause for one of our teams. I did not get the information on who it was
TSM,
for.
I would assume.
Yeah, I'm going to assume TSM given the circumstances we're currently in front of us. But it's already expired, as you guys have probably noticed yourself already. So we're heading back into the game very quickly, and we'll see what type of changes will come in here for TSM. The only notable thing on the operator selection is going to be a huge change up, but just a switch over to the Valkyrie, which is obviously going to provide a little bit more team-oriented utility in this situation.
Shout out to all the Valkyrie players out there. Probably pretty happy about that for you. Everyone plays Valkyrie for the gun, John. Come on. It's the MPX. Don't you listen to Macy J? Come on, man. I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you. But either way, TSM are going to be providing some new pieces of utility here, as well as Beaulo will be bringing some new deployable shields that honestly could assist here. This is going to give them some more bastions around the actual site, so where they'll be able to play more of a defensive, toned defense instead of being out and about like they were before. So this could be pretty interesting here. Also, Chala put in a pretty cheeky frost mat there as well, and he'll drop the second one here inside of Swamp.
I'm still going to throw that one down onto the ground. Like you said,
If I got hit by that, I would probably cry. I'll be really honest.
I mean, it's kind of just going for the strategy. Like, I'm just going to throw these at a couple random spots and see what happens. That was not, to be fair, that was not a random spot, but still, obviously core of the point.
Yeah. You know what the worst thing is when it comes to Frost? Especially at higher ranks, you'll play Siege for like 6 hours and never see Frost, and then you jump in one window and it's like, clunk. Oh, okay. Yeah, Frost is back. All right, cool. I just lost my life and I don't get to play the game for another 3 minutes. Awesome. This is great.
Got to check your floors, I guess.
Dude, I do. I really do.
It's part of the training,
Why didn't you drone? Well, because I didn't want to. That's
yeah.
why. Droning's for the weak.
Because you were lazy.
Exactly.
Anyway, Invictus starting to work their way in, get his first take top tower control for themselves. No resistance in this department here from TSM. They're still extended mainly onto that first floor part over towards cafeteria and security, as well as small tower, focusing on controlling the white stairs and the back entrance towards their site. Going to be able to probably remain relatively safe, considering that Invictus is running down the checklist of the same exact execute that they went for on the last attempt here in the previous round. Invictus actually finding a lot of the same success that TSM was on their own attack here by pushing through this avenue.
Invictus, slow and steady at the beginning, as you would expect with an offense like this. There's quite a bit to be done when it comes to this site, even when it comes down to the default things. IG still spinning these drones up, trying to see if there is any TSM members out and about once again, as we had all just seen that previous round and know how Achieve ended up losing his life. We're inside the small tower, but this time they're more centralized, even though they are indeed still on a multitude of different floors here. But honestly, as we're getting a better picture here, it seems that we actually are going to have all of the bodies here inside of sight. I believe we have one over near kitchen that could possibly use a nitro cell to counter outplant, but that means Invictus would have to take over first. Pojo's starting to take some damage from that Goyo shield, so he'll get knocked down below 75 HP inside of Attic.
Poj going to maintain himself inside of that position, though. No reason for him to give it up. This is a do-or-die spot for him, and he needs to make sure he wastes as much time away from Invictus as they need this to be able to get themselves to the inside of the site. HysteRiX knows that there's lurking trouble down on the first floor, and Beaulo, he needs to get himself off that camera right now, as HysteRiX is about to walk right up for a free kill against him. Now the drone is going to see him hopping off the camera here, but still doesn't seem to be any much the wiser that HysteRiX is sneaking up right behind him right now. And there you go, a free pickup for the IG roster as he takes down Beaulo and one of the extended players out from the site.
Oh, these are one of these things that land. It's just so difficult to hear with the amount of stuff going on around you. So something as minuscule as some drone audio coming in from behind you is going to be difficult to try and hear, and he's going to lose his life because of that. And yet another TSM member will fall to HysteRiX. This is not looking good right now for TSM. They need someone to step up and start getting some frags. It's up to Pojo first, as he'll achieve just that. But Joe knocking them down a peg even further as Joe loses life as well.
Down to these final two players, but at the same time, also down to the final 15 seconds. Chala will start to respond on his own very quickly, though Pojoman is lost. Remember, he took a lot of damage earlier on in the fight. Chala trying to stop the plant from going down, but he's got the wrong read on where it is right now. Has no angle to try and put it onto the ground. He'll obviously hear the beeping start and obviously get good intel onto the post-plant position of the planter itself as he fires back. But still, again, no option out of this room for Chala right now. That doesn't lead to him immediately getting sprayed down. Finally gets a path forward, though, over towards white, but still needs to be able to check the staircase to make sure no one's held it. By wasting all this time, though, trying to look for a safe route, Invictus have been able to fully regroup. All three players are stacked together, and they do not make the mistake of standing one by one in line there, as we saw TSM do a few times in the previous half. IG closed it out again and inch that much closer to victory.
TSM just cannot get away from being opening blooded by Invictus. They're able to find these kills no matter what the circumstances have to be, and this is no different. Even with the extra utility that TSM had at their disposal, it's still a solid play from Invictus as they simply just waltz around the map, use that that drone intel to go downstairs and find Beaulo and strike first.
Coming down to the wire here now. 4-6 is the scoreline, and Invictus sits themselves on match point. We're also going to see a Lion thrown in for them, changing out the Nomad, giving them a little bit of a different flair when it comes to their anti-roam utility. And this will be very good too, because it also will act as a great mask for when Invictus is finally ready to assault into the basement, especially through drop avenues, as that EE1D is going to be very, very loud for TSM.
Always fun when you hit the natural tongue twister, huh?
Yeah.
It's always a good one. I'm sure everyone feels that pain every once in a while, but speaking of pain, TSM is in a hurt locker right now. This is not a good time for them. They cannot lose these next 2 rounds. Otherwise, they're at risk of, well, losing their spot at the main stage. Invictus here, specifically SpeakEasy and HysteRiX with some stellar stat lines. SpeakEasy obviously even more so, currently 16-4-1, and that's through 10 played rounds.
What we're going to see here as Invictus come out and about once again, how quickly they'll be able to approach things here against TSM. They seem to have gotten a great read on most of these early round aggressive plays from TSM, the extended positions that even now inside of a basement hole they've taken for themselves. But the last time a basement was played, TSM found a lot of success with that out and about playstyle. Beaulo specifically getting a very early opening pick and then retreating to the basement for the team to play out the rest of the 4v5. So far, nothing to be gained though, obviously. Beaulo's not going to be able to net himself and will very quickly retreat as soon as that first EE1D goes out.
Yeah, just dip. Just leave. Yeah, there is no point at that moment when you figure out that there's a Lion on the field, especially with the way that Invictus have been working their own info utility already. I mean, if you get droned out, you're more than likely dead. It's going to be a very, very difficult path if you end up staying on that roam. So positive straights here for Beaulo, so he'll be able to keep his life. That obviously also gives up the top floor here to IG as they'll start propelling themselves forward. SpeakEasy almost losing his life to a player inside of Freezer. Ends up being prone on the floor, but not enough shots landing. Only going to lose a little bit of HP, but also Invictus find a soft hatch, and it's going to be the hatch for Freezer. So they'll end up popping that open with a gun.
Lunarmetal still trying to get himself into a workable position to make the rest of this play happen with the squad here. Lunar also obviously needing to open up a path down to that stairs basement, or excuse me, tower stairs basement. We're going to see at least one member of TSM hold a position until that spam comes through, and again, they give that up, they fall back. Just the posturing is all they were looking to do in case someone from Invictus tried to step forward into that part of the map without properly clearing it out. TSM, however, do not want to take the outright aggressive fight after they've been revealed. So both players that were out from the site now back in it, playing to that full bunker setup for this final minute and 10 seconds as Invictus is ready to cross the threshold down to the basement.
This one with the Mira, with the Chonka here. Chala still going to be on the smoke, working his elbow position. The minute remaining though, Invictus are able to get a lot of these jobs done. The electrical hatch is open, as well as the main area for laundry. They still need to get a couple of things handled here, most notably this construction area in front of SpeakEasy as of right now. Geo and obviously Chala going to be working this area, seemingly aware that someone is more than likely going to be coming down big stairs, and they are damn right. Flash grenades and everything starting to pour in. EE1D out, but Pojoman will be the first one to strike instead. Jordan tries to get some damage off here with the frag grenade, but a Chi from Pillar will be able to eat that up. Jordan actually ends up bouncing that frag grenade beneath the laser gate as well, so it's not going to eat it. This is all of a sudden looking like a TSM round as they've won every single fight. SpeakEasy drops into Freezer. Beaulo will take him down, and they stay alive in round 11.
TSM hold on and get themselves a flawless as well, with a very smart play inside of this 11th round, choosing not to play into those aggressive fights after Invictus had used the utility to suss those players out, taking the fight to the very bitter end of it, where as we saw, multiple mistakes were made on the execute from Invictus, starting with the frag grenade and ranging to multiple other things, such as just kind of jumping in a few players too much on their lonesome and setting them up only to be taken down by the TSM setup. So Invictus has one more chance now to close things down at a potential 7-5 scoreline. Otherwise, TSM will trigger the overtime they unfortunately were not able to do in their last encounter versus this team yesterday.
Decently, or a pretty interesting occurrence there for Invictus is it's just more of desynchronization than anything that doesn't really work out there for them. They end up sending the player in through E-box and nothing really else going on around the area. Invictus then tried to go for tower stairs as well as pressure in through construction, but all of them being dealt with handedly. And again, not all at the same time there for Invictus, so it's pretty straightforward for TSM at the end of the day. But obviously they can't go back downstairs and do this all over again. So where is this last site going to be? Well, it's going to be Meeting Kitchen because, well, why the hell not? If you're going to go to Kitchen, this is more than likely going to be the site, as well the cafeteria side isn't exactly fun. fun because of how small tower works into that.
Yeah, also a very claustrophobic site to play into. In general, if you make a mistake inside of one room, there's a very good chance the attackers can spread that to the rest of the sites and more than likely get access needed to it. At minimum, get a case down, if not completely tear apart your defensive setup, whether it's going to be in security, the bathrooms, or somewhere else, such as deeper in kitchen. TSM, though, like we said, need to close this one out, and they're going to bring us some interesting stuff to try and do it, including aggression now from Geometrics, taking the T3 control, giving himself a personal ADS to try and survive any bit of aggression from Invictus, and we'll see what he's able to work towards.
You ever played Halo Reach?
A bit.
You know the end of Halo Reach where it just says objective, survive? That's Geo's objective here. There is no, John, there is no aggression. It's I am fighting for my life. That's what it is. His entire position up here is a time sink for Invictus. That's what he's going to try to do. So we'll see if it works out for him. He only had that singular ADS, and he's obviously already dropped down to the second level as well. He's actually occupied this entire space, as well as he's got some attic play going on as well. This is so interesting here from TSM.
And he's
a little bit of a misread here from me, but still, I like the setup overall. ADS up top, ADS on that mid-level, and give Geo some space to work with.
Is going to be a little bit more support, as we saw there for the attic positions, but as far as the hold from the man himself, Geo has fallen way back into the basement, and unfortunately won't be able to put that additional pressure back up into the tower anytime soon here. HysteRiX takes control of T1, the rest of the team has followed through with T3 and T2 control, and now they can start shifting this over, working on getting attic control for themselves, and then taking control of the site from a top-down perspective.
All right, well, Invictus haven't made any errors just yet. They'll at least be able to get big tower, but it means they need to start progressively moving forward here. Obviously, given the circumstances, this is more than likely going to be a stage plant for them, so there's quite a few things to worry about. You need to worry about the hatch. That's the biggest one, which is going to be downstairs inside of that E-box area. It's pretty manageable. Most teams are ready for it, but you can see TSM are ready to fight for this space down here because this is more than likely going to lead them to victory. They will, well, at least for Invictus' sake, they will still be watching the stairwell for big tower as they start to break things up. They've already gotten the left panel destroyed, as Joe is going to set every single X-Kairos that he has on the right-hand panel to destroy it.
So for Invictus, coming down to that final minute, yes, tower control is theirs, but they have not been able to push themselves past that yet. However, they very well might not need to, as they can use the tower as a base camp to execute out onto the site, and for the most part, will be able to cover themselves in the process, especially if the first planet attempt goes off without a hitch here. But the problem is, a lot of utility still from TSM that's being deployed at the moment here, mainly from Pojoman on the smoke there, to try and continuously delay this. Invictus are realistically only going to have about 20 seconds to make this work when that final toxic wave fades away. And obviously by this point in the round, TSM are very well aware of what's happening. They know that there's a big push coming in. They can deploy Nitro cells onto the back tower stairs and take down Joe. They haven't been able to confirm it just yet, and Lunarmetal has picked up another exchange. Achieved, though, coming back into it, but no, it's all falling to pieces for TSM. The attic player falters. Achieved goes down. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. IG take the match, and TSM more than likely eliminated now, as they cannot gain enough score to make it out of the groups.
Oh my God. TSM knocked out by APAC, and not only APAC, the APAC South team of Invictus. Congratulations to them, as what an achievement here on Oregon, as they look stellar. The aggression especially, the mechanical skill that these players have, unparalleled today.
This has been an incredibly impressive tournament so far for the APAC tournament, and things continue to look better and better. Another win going into Invictus' control pushes them that much closer to potentially making it out of the group as well, but it needs to be kept in mind there's two very strong teams. They'll still need to try and work their way past as the groups conclude tomorrow. So the battle is not done yet for Invictus. However, they have won it for today.
Well, sad result here for TSM is it was a valiant effort, especially from Achieved. Had a great showing there. I believe he ended up over 15 kills. So solid stuff from him, but it just simply was not enough at the end of the day for TSM. And honestly, Monty is probably going to have a few jokes backed up for this one.
Yeah, certainly the case. And we can go to him now. So Monty, go ahead, take it away. Let's start breaking this game down.
I mean, I don't really think